man. Florida man. Florida man.
Florida man.
Florida man.
Florida man. Florida man.
Florida man.
Florida man is in the news today, and regardless of when you watch this video, I guarantee you that's true. The media loves Florida man because the meme gives them a nearly endless supply of free clickbait. Florida man has become something of an industry, selling not just clicks for news outlets and social media, but clothing, mugs, bumper stickers. It's become something of a brand. Nearly all of it negative, with few exceptions. But mostly negative. 0 days without being an embarrassment to the country, and Florida. Headlines that start off, only in Florida.
Only in Florida.
Let me just start by saying that Florida does not have a monopoly on drug-fueled antics.
Hey, Ron. Hey, Billy.
But Florida is crazy. They have drunk people, drugs, and alligators. That's true, but so does the entire southeastern United States. If I make any point in my defense of Florida man, and by extension Florida itself, it's that the Florida man meme is completely lacking perspective, and the media barely give a morsel of comparison to the other states. Is Florida man, as this suggests, America's penis? If they mean by sheer size, I have no comment. But Florida man has become a guilty pleasure for thousands, if not millions, and admittedly, they can be pretty hilarious. Like this gem. Florida man claims syringes found in his rectum weren't his. Or this one. The guy who stopped running from police to drink his stolen Capri Sun because crack made him thirsty. These are what make Florida man stories Florida man stories. They're silly, they're over the top, colorful, and funny, but the most important component is they come in bulk. An endless supply. Just typing Florida man and your birth date has become a traditional internet pastime of sorts. But why Florida man as opposed to California man or Nevada man?
I could break these cuffs.
You can't break those cuffs. We appreciate your cooperation now, okay?
First, how did this all start? When did the term Florida man enter into meme infamy? For most accounts, Florida man went truly international May 2012. The infamous Miami zombie attack. If you haven't heard about it, long story short, this guy, his car breaks down on the way to a musical festival. And on his way home, he decides to bite the face off of this random homeless man. He encountered him under a bridge and continued to bite and attack him for nearly 20 minutes until the responding officer, horrified, shouting demands to stop, is forced to shoot the guy. The officer said in his report that he thought the man might be on bath salts because of his aggressive behavior. Bath salts are synthetic cathinones and are said to be 10 times stronger than cocaine.
I said, goddamn.
So based on the speculation of a single officer, the media, with zero evidence, reported the incident as actually caused by bath salts. And of course, they use that stupid statement,
Only in Florida. Only in Florida. Only in Florida.
only in Florida, even though similar incidents happened all over the country around the same time. CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, CBS, and NPR, the story went international. A month later, when the toxicology report came back, 0 bath salts. But the damage had been done. And when it comes between the facts and the legend, print the legend. Which is to say, the media did a real caca job with this one.
This is pure Kafka.
Who's Kafka? Tell me!
Throughout the rest of the year, more bath salt and Florida man stories continued filtering through the media until finally, January 2013, exactly 8 months later, the @FloridaMan Twitter feed was launched, featuring news articles containing keywords Florida man. And within barely a month, the feed had 64,000 followers. And with that, the world's worst superhero was born. So does Florida Man, and by extension Florida itself, deserve this public perception of being America's drug-fueled redheaded stepchild? Why has Florida Man meme been such an endless goldmine of humorous villainy anyway? Well, it turns out the rise of Florida Man has everything to do with open records laws.
Whoop-de-doo! What does it all mean, Basil?
Like the name implies, there are rules and regulations that govern the release of public information by state officials. Every state has differing laws, and Florida's happens to be lenient. How lenient? Very lenient. You can boil it down to a couple sentences in the records laws. Any person may request access to records. The purpose for obtaining public records and their subsequent use is immaterial. Anyone can obtain records for any purpose, including commercial purposes and mere curiosity. This is interesting, as most states specifically forbid the obtaining of records for mere curiosity. In other words, you have to have a good reason, and it's usually up to them to decide whether your reason is a good one. This is not so in Florida, where again, literally anyone from any state, and incidentally any news outlet, can easily obtain arrest records, mugshots, and names. Even in other states where the records law supposedly allows the media access to public records, journalists are often denied access, for any number of often made-up reasons.
Captain Dolan.
No comment.
Is it true they found a connection between the biker bar massacre and last night's victim here at the city train yards?
No comment.
Off the record, Captain.
Off the record? Piss off.
In Florida, it seems anyone who wants it can generally get it. So really, we can trace the rise of Florida Man not to 2012, but actually goes back 100 years to Florida's so-called sunshine laws, meant to maximize transparency. All government business was meant to be public. Whether you believe that or not, So at the end of the day, Florida puts all its dirty laundry out for the rest of the country and the world to see, leaving places like the Big Apple and Sin City to just point and laugh.
Man, you are one pathetic loser. No offense.
My brother and I, we grew up in South Florida, and back in the day, we used to pick up this newspaper that was filled with mugshots. It was printed every week and included all the new arrests, and we would play a sort of a game. Could we find someone we would recognize? And we would always win, and never failed to see some acquaintance getting locked up. I know that guy. He did what? There was actually one incident where it was kind of a friend of a friend whose dad was arrested for soliciting a prostitute. A male prostitute.
You must be so embarrassed!
And yes, they would literally sell this thing on every corner gas station for $1.
I'd buy that for $1.
But in researching this video, the owners of that newspaper, which has since gone online, it seems got a dose of their own medicine after being arrested for extortion, making $2 million in 3 years, charging mugshot removal fees from their website. But they'd probably been doing this for a while, and I think it's very telling that they didn't even run into problems until they started outing and extorting Californians. But monetizing mugshots is a disgusting industry. And one article I'll link to, a man was arrested for a minor traffic violation. But the employee at one of these sites typed in the wrong profile, listing him as a pedophile involving a 12-year-old, forcing him to move from his community. He sued and won, but his reputation was forever tainted. But again, Florida Man fulfills the online media's insatiable desire for free clickbait, and I could barely find an outlet that didn't get in on his antics. This poor bastard's mugshot went viral, not because of anything he did, but for how he looked. His mug shotgunned all over the internet because of a traffic violation. From Breitbart to BuzzFeed, from Fox News to The Guardian, and nearly everyone in between, everyone seems to want a piece of the Florida Man pie. Which begs an ethical, moral question. When it comes to Florida Man, is it okay to exploit the mentally ill and drug addicted? And are we as a society comfortable with the idea of a single silly mistake ruining someone's life? Is there a man alive between the age of 18 and death that has not had an episode of foolishness that they'd rather not have posted on the internet for all employers, for all family, and for all eternity to see? Once people, especially mentally ill, drug-dependent people, have paid their debt to society, when should their humiliation end? So knowing all this, is this a simple case of an overdose of government transparency, leading to an inordinate number of Florida man stories being reported nationally as opposed to the other states? Or is this actually something different going on in Florida? How exactly does Florida stack up when it comes to actual crime statistics compared to the other states? If your only reference is the Florida man meme, Florida has to be the most wild and dangerous state in the union, right? It's actually the exact opposite, almost literally. As it turns out, Florida doesn't even fall in the top 5, not even the top 10. They rank 22nd overall in reported violent crime and sexual assault for 2019, according to the FBI. Who is number 1 when adjusted for population? Alaska. Literally the opposite of Florida. This brings us to only in Florida's crazy wildlife stories. Like what's going on in the Everglades. Pythons. Pythons either released by exotic pet owners or escaped from zoos in past hurricanes are eating all the native wildlife. The problem has gotten so severe the government has enacted a python elimination program with no hunting license or permit required. The snakes can be removed and humanely euthanized.
Shoot them, stab them, drown them, burn them, drop a big old rock on the head.
And not only are they actually paying people to get rid of the snakes, paying a bonus for larger snakes over 4 feet, they've come up with some pretty creative ways to maybe make some profit from this invasive species headache. Python footballs. A slightly older story is that of the iguanas. Also not native to Florida and also grossly overpopulated, the locals are making iguanas into an exotic cuisine. A lean meat having more protein than chicken, locals call it chicken of the tree. But again, Florida is far from alone when it comes to animals running amok, and are far from the craziest in my opinion. Tusk-wielding feral hogs in Texas, known to attack people, they cause over $1 billion in damage every year. They go as far as renting helicopters with assault rifles to get a handle on the population. There's a big list of invasive species that affect the entire country just about. I point this out because everything we think we know about Florida men, with just a minimal amount of searching, you can find something near equal everywhere else. So what do you think? Should Florida change its sunshine laws? Or should the rest of the country follow Florida? That would definitely be more interesting. Tell us what you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We are the GED Geniuses.